Hello, this is Dr. Troy Allam with Craig Ranch Chiropractic, and we're here to talk about nutrition. This is our kind of Nutrition 101 lecture. So what we're going to talk about today is what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, and some of the reasons why. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so our first category is fats and cholesterol. We got to have some fat in our body. We can't eliminate all fats. Fat is a part of every cell in our body, so if we don't have fat, or the right type of fat, then our cells aren't going to grow to be healthy, and we'll get deformed cells, and that's not what we want. So let's talk about what kind of fats we should have. But the most important part of fat is cholesterol, and we have good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Our LDL is our bad cholesterol, our HDL is our good cholesterol, and the more good cholesterol we can get in our body, the less it matters what our LDL is. So let's talk about the components that make up both of those things. Okay. So we want to eliminate our bad fats, and our bad fats consist of saturated fat, which is made up of kind of big category here of red meats and chocolate and whole milk products. A lot of animal products are in saturated fat. Saturated fat makes up our plaque in our arteries a lot of times, and that plaque is what causes things like heart disease and strokes and things of that nature, and that kills quite a few Americans every year. So these are things we want to limit. Okay, our like I said, our red meats and chocolate products, and our animal skins, and even pork is part of that too. Trans fat is another part of our LDL, and these are things we want to eliminate. Okay, trans fat is directly linked to cell mutation and also to cancer, and so these are things we really want to eliminate. And trans fat's basically used as a food preservative. Okay, it keeps our food fresh longer. Okay, so some of the things in this category are things like deep fried fast foods and margarine and chips and crackers and a lot of our snack foods. A lot of those foods have a shelf life of a couple years, and so that's not something we want to put in our body. Things like a French fry doesn't never mold, and so once again, that's not something we want to put in our body. And even foods like margarine, where it's imitation butter, is not something we want to put in. Our body doesn't really know how to process that very well. We do have some good fats, and our good fats are going to called monounsaturated fats, and those include several different oils, avocados, and some nuts, not peanuts, but things like almonds and pecans and walnuts, things of that nature, have a lot of good fat in them, and protein, and those are things we should try to incorporate into our diet. As far as the oils go in this category, you want to make sure that however you're cooking with the right oil. So if you cook on a high temperature, you don't want to use olive oil, because it actually denatures the oil and turns it into a trans fat. So just pay attention to what you want to do with the food is what oil you should use. Okay. We do have a better unsaturated fat, and that's polyunsaturated fats. Once again, there's a couple oils there. Our seeds, like flaxseed, also our whole grains and fatty fish. The fatty fish in here are mostly ocean fish, things like salmon and tuna, sardines, mackerel. The lake fish don't eat the same kind of diet, and so they don't have as much good fat in them. Things like catfish and tilapia, which are both bottom feeders, don't have a lot of good fat in them either. Okay, so we want to add in our unsaturated fat, which is going to help our cholesterol score, our HDL. We want to limit our saturated fat and eliminate our trans fat. Okay, carbohydrates. We've got to have some carbohydrates. Those are our natural sugars that we need every day in our body. So there's a big category. It includes fruits and vegetables, and then our grains. So we have really two kinds of grain. That's our highly refined grain and our whole grain. The biggest difference between the two is one's been processed, one hasn't. So when we process a grain, we're going to eliminate things like vitamins and unsaturated fat, magnesium, fiber, all those things that we would like to have. So our whole grains are going to have all those things in them, and that's why they don't last as long. You know, a piece of white bread can last a month, and a loaf of whole grain bread might last a week. But the whole grain bread is much better for you. It has all these things in it. It hasn't already been cooked or processed. It's the difference, you know, when we're dealing with rice, and you know, white rice taking 5 minutes and brown rice taking 45 minutes. Okay, so the reason we did this was to preserve the grain, and it started back in the Middle Ages. Okay, so we want to focus on having our brown rice products, or our whole grain products. Things like brown pasta, brown rice, brown bread are going to be much better for us than the white products of the same thing. They're going to be much lower in sugar and much better for you. Okay. As far as getting our bread, we want to make sure we look at the labels, and the first ingredient in that bread should be whole grain. If it's not whole grain, then it's not whole grain. So look at your labels next time you go to the store. If it says bleached wheat flour, things of that nature, that's not a whole grain product. Okay. Protein. Protein's really important. It helps keep us full longer. Okay, it gives us that full feeling longer. There's lots of different kinds of protein. So we have our vegetable proteins, and then everything else is more or less animal products, but our vegetable proteins are important in this too. Okay, protein's important because it slows the movement of food through our digestive system. Okay, it doesn't give us any sugar rises like carbohydrates do, and it actually takes more energy to process the protein, and that's better for us too. Okay, so we talked about saturated fat earlier, and there's a certain amount of saturated fat we need every day, and having the steak as our protein, a 6-ounce steak, has quite a bit of protein in it. Also has quite a bit of saturated fat, and that saturated fat number is right around 40-45 grams per day. So that's about almost half your total there, having the steak. You know, a better choice would be the fish, the salmon. Almost the same amount of protein, but only a quarter of the saturated fat. And if we went to a vegetable protein, we get half the protein, maybe about 12 to 15 grams of protein, but we only get 1 gram of saturated fat. And so incorporating some of those vegetable sources in there is an important way to reduce that saturated fat number like we talked about earlier in the lecture. Okay, so proteins we want to focus on would be things like lean meats, fish, poultry, and then our vegetable sources. Okay, the only thing you want to be concerned about with the vegetable sources, if we're trying to go more vegetarian, is eating lots of different kinds of vegetable proteins. Okay. The last category, most important, is fruits and vegetables. So the reason it's the most important is this is where all of our vitamins and nutrients should come from. If we eat our fruits and vegetables like we should every day, there's really no need to take a multivitamin. We get much more out of eating an apple than we do from having a Centrum. Okay, if you have a multivitamin, that's great, but you probably only get about 20% of that multivitamin. You know, your body is designed to eat and process the apple and banana and the strawberries and the broccoli and things of that nature. So adding in some more fruit and vegetables is a key component to a good healthy diet. It can also save your life. You know, if we add 1 serving of fruits and vegetables to our daily routine that we're doing right now, we have a 10 to 15% reduction in our chance of having a heart attack or stroke, lowering our blood pressure, helping with digestion, our waistline, our eyes, and our memory. So adding in those fruits and vegetables, we want to try to get to the point where we're having about 5 to 9 servings a day. Okay, so somewhere in there, trying to get all those color categories in there is a good way to keep get all of our fruits and all of our vitamins and minerals from our fruits and vegetables. So the Color Code is an excellent book if you want to learn more about what each color category consists of. I'm going to give you a brief overview on what the red, green, yellow, blue, and white categories, what the most important things are in each of them. But if you want to read more, check out the color code. The red color has lots of phytonutrients in it that are anti-cancer agents for both men and women. Strawberries is a big part of that, raspberries, and then also tomatoes as well. The green color is an excellent source of vitamins and minerals, and broccoli being the actual best vegetable that you can eat for those vitamins and minerals. Yellow and orange is going to be good, have all of our basic vitamins in it, and it's also going to be good for our eyes. White is a small category. Garlic is probably the best one here, and it's going to lower your blood pressure and actually increase your immune system. And blue and purple, the best fruit out there is a blueberry, and blueberries has the most vitamins and minerals out of any fruit, and so I would encourage you to get those year round and get all those vitamins and minerals from the blueberry. If you have any further questions about any nutritional things, you're welcome to post them on our Facebook page at Craig Ranch and LeonardFamilyChiropractic.com, or you can come in and talk to us in person. Thank you and have a good day.